Chapter 1 Memory Awakens and Reborn as a Human. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tianwu Continent, Luocheng, Chen family, in a lonely and quiet courtyard, a boy of 17 or 18 years old was lying on the ground, as if he had existed here since ancient times. Cold, the biting cold kept attacking the body. He wanted to open his eyes, but found that his eyelids were so heavy that he could not open them. Not only that, fragments of memories that seemed to come from ancient times flashed and merged in his mind. Mountain of corpses and sea of blood. The sword energy is everywhere. There is even a scene where he marches across Kyushu with a sword and fights the world alone. A large number of memory fragments kept attacking, causing the expression of the young man who closed his eyes to constantly change. Sometimes he is ferocious, sometimes he frowns, sometimes his mouth corners are slightly raised. Time passed slowly. I don't know how long it had passed. Suddenly, while he was lying still, he moved his fingers. The young man's eyes suddenly opened at this moment. They were a pair of eyes as deep as the night. In the depths, there seemed to be a star shining, as if telling something extraordinary. Finally woke up. This is my ninth life. With a little inquiry and curiosity in his eyes, the young man slowly stood up from the ground. Huh? Blood? That when he lowered his head, he noticed that there was a pool of blood on the ground. It spread over a large area, and on his chest, there were also blood stains flowing out. Most of the biting coldness he felt before was caused by blood loss. Realizing this, the young man's brows furrowed slightly, and then he slowly closed his eyes. After a moment, he opened his eyes again, and his eyes were clear. Just now, he had accepted all the memories of this life and understood his current identity, Han Yang, the former #1 god of war in the divine world. The ninth reincarnation was reduced to a humble son-in-law in the little Tianwu continent. It was okay to become a son-in-law, but what he didn't expect was that a month ago, he was attacked by a mysterious man in black, and even his insignificant cultivation was wiped out. As for why he was lying on the ground, it was because the fiancée in this life, Xianxia, the daughter of the head of the Chen family, was taken away by the elder to discuss marriage. That's right, before he died, his wife was forcibly taken away to discuss marriage, or to put it more bluntly, they were forced into marriage. Ever since the head of the family mysteriously disappeared a year ago, things have changed for the Chen family. The family headed by the great elder has been focusing on seizing power. Recently, because the Chen family is facing a crisis, they are thinking of marrying off the family head's daughter, Han Yang's fiancée, to gain support from other families. As for his useless son-in-law whose cultivation was ruined, no one paid any attention to him. Angry, Han Yang ran to argue, but was beaten to death by 2 guard dogs until he vomited blood and fell into a coma. It was precisely because of this near-death coma that he awakened his past life memories, making him, Resurrection, the god of war returns. You can also touch my Han Yang woman. That the young man's eyes were filled with terrifying murderous intent. If there were enemies from the past life here, they would be frightened at this moment. Because they know that when the god of war is angry, corpses will litter the fields, and no one of the enemies of the god of war will be spared. It's been a while since I passed out, Xiao. I wonder what happened. Thinking of the name that was willing to share life and death with him, Han Yang frowned and was about to go out. However, as soon as he took a step, a heartbreaking pain came from his dantian, making Han Yang realize the reality instantly. At this moment, although I have awakened the memory of my past life, my physical body has been severely damaged that is irreparable. Not only could he not save his fiancée, he would not be able to save his fiancée, but he might let himself die again. He subconsciously sat down cross-legged and began to explore the situation inside his body. Dantian is broken, the meridians are broken. It can be said that if you were an ordinary person, even if you had a panacea in hand, you would be helpless and reduced to a useless piece of garbage. However, Han Yang was not nervous. After 9 lifetimes and 10,000 years of practice, he knows countless miraculous techniques, among which there is a technique that can repair the dantian and improve the physical condition without any magic medicine. Han Yang, who was holding his breath and concentrating, only hesitated for a moment before he began to operate the supreme divine method engraved deep in his memory. 9 turns of stars. This is an extremely strange method that Han Yang obtained by accident in his first life. However, because this method is not complete yet and is quite profound and obscure, Han Yang has never practiced it before, he knew that this technique was extremely overbearing. Once he took the first step, there was no turning back. From now on, he needed to frantically plunder the energy of all things in the world for his own use. If the situation were not urgent, I might not choose this method, but right now, the situation is urgent. The 9 turns of stars art is his only choice. Gritting his teeth fiercely, the technique quickly started to operate, and a terrifying suction force suddenly spread from his body, wildly devouring the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Only, not enough. Han Yang quickly stood up and rummaged through the boxes in the room. If I remember correctly, I still have some elixirs that I haven't had time to use before. Sure enough, a moment later, more than 10 chi-enhancing pills for improving cultivation appeared in his hand. Although they were only first-level pills and the number was not large, it was enough for Han Yang. Without hesitation, he swallowed all the elixirs in one gulp and started running the 9-turn star art at high speed. Boom boom, as worthy of being the supreme divine method. The power of the medicine was consumed crazily by the technique, and it began to repair the Dantian meridians. In less than a stick of incense, the damaged Dantian was rejuvenated, and the meridians were repaired and perfected. Some of the excess medicinal power was used by Han Yang to temper his body. The early stages of martial arts training are divided into body tempering, bone forging, spirit gathering, and yuandan. The body tempering stage is an indispensable part of the path for ordinary people to enter the martial arts. Before he was deposed in Dantian, he was at the 8th level of body tempering. After recultivating, it was almost like breathing, and the cultivation level returned to that state easily. That's not all, his aura is still rising crazily, 8-fold, 9-fold. Only one step away from reaching the 10 major perfections of body tempering. Half an hour later, Han Yang opened his eyes, with a trace of regret in his eyes. If you give yourself more pills, you might be able to directly advance to the bone-forging realm. Regardless, thinking that Xiao was being bullied, Han Yang stood up and rushed out of the courtyard. Crackling sounds, like frying beans, exploded in his body one after another. Huh! Why did this waste come out? If it ruins the Great Elder's good deeds, both of us will be implicated. That's right, get back here. A cold snort suddenly sounded. When the 2 Qin family warriors who were guarding outside the courtyard saw Han Yang, their expressions changed, and they both shouted at him at the same time. One of them even kicked Han Yang in the stomach. Obviously, he wanted to kick him back into the courtyard. Act recklessly. A cold light flashed in Han Yang's eyes, and he ignored his movements and walked straight into him. Bang, a low muffled sound. Although the warrior kicked Han Yang, his body bounced back. It hit the wall with a bang, as if its skeleton was falling apart, and slid softly from the wall. His orifices were bleeding, and he was shocked by the huge force. He was already dead and could no longer die. Ah! Before the other person could react, Han Yang punched the other person with lightning speed, killing the other person as well. These 2 dogs were the ones who had just beaten him until he vomited blood and fell into a coma. They deserved it. The author has something to say. New books are uploaded. Please take care of me. Chapter 2 Killer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen family, meeting hall. The usually solemn meeting hall had happy words posted on both sides, and there were 10 or 20 people standing inside. The elder of the Chen family, who was in the middle position and had a gray beard, looked at a slender woman in the hall with an expressionless face, and said solemnly, "This elder announces that Qin Xiaoqian will be married to Li of the Li family as my concubine, and the marriage will be completed on a selected day." There was a commotion at the scene, a round of applause spread, and many people had excitement on their faces. Once they marry the Li family, the Chen family will be even more powerful, and they will be able to gain a firm foothold in this precarious Luo city. The eldest elder is wise and has become in-laws with the Li family. Those families who look at my Chen family are like chickens and dogs. The great elder's move is truly wonderful. He deserves to be the pillar of our Chen family. I agree with both hands. Everyone kept cheering, but no one paid attention to the unwilling and desperate face of the woman in the hall. The great elder also looked proud. As long as Qin Xiaoqian, the daughter of the head of the family, is sent to the Li family, won't the Chen family have the final say? Fart. Even if I die, I will never marry Li Li. My husband, Qin Xiaoqian, is Han Yang. Life is his, death is his ghost. If you continue to push each other hard, I will die to make my ambition clear. At this moment, a decisive voice suddenly interrupted everyone's excitement, causing many people to frown slightly. The woman in the hall has red lips, white teeth, and a slender figure. She can be regarded as a beautiful woman, but her face was pale, and it was easy to tell that she was suffering from typhoid fever and was unable to practice. Moreover, every time typhoid fever breaks out, a large amount of elixirs are consumed for treatment. If Xianxia had not been the daughter of the head of the family, she would never have been able to survive until now. In this world where martial arts is revered, those who cannot practice are no different from useless people. Hearing this, the elder's face darkened, and he said coldly, "That's not up to you. Over the years, as the eldest lady of the Qin family, you have consumed a lot of resources by eating, drinking, and treating you. Now, it's time for you to contribute something to the family. Today, you have to get married. Whether you want to get married or not, you have to get married. If you push me again, I will die in front of you." Xianxia took out a dagger from somewhere and put it directly on her neck, leaving a blood mark on her fair skin. This move made everyone at the scene change their faces. Miss Chen, if the person Li named died, she would be in big trouble. Not only would the two families be unable to marry, but the Li family might also be offended. With this thought in mind, the great elder quietly winked at the person standing at the bottom. That was Chen He, the son of the eldest elder. After receiving his father's eyes, he stepped forward and said to Xianxia, "Miss, don't be so shameless. If you agree, we can make you prosperous. If you don't agree, we can also send you to the Li family, but then the treatment will be different. And if you don't obey me, I guarantee that the good-for-nothing Han Yang you call, will never see the sun tomorrow." "You." Xiaoqian's expression changed, and she suddenly turned around and looked at Chen He. The moment she relaxed, Chen He sped up, rushed in front of Xiaoqian, and suddenly grabbed her arm. Immediately afterwards, a slap came over, snapped. The slap sound was clear and loud. The dagger in Xiaoqian's hand was gone, and instead, there were 5 bright red fingerprints on her face. "That bitch is being hypocritical. Come here, tie her up and take her down to freshen up. I'll notify the Li family in the afternoon and come over to welcome the bride." Chen He's sarcastic voice sounded, and he took the dagger in his hand and played with it up and down. Someone on both sides immediately stepped forward to take action. However, Xiaoqian did not sit back and wait for death. She turned around and ran out of the hall. "Catch her back." Chen He was slightly startled, with a trace of ridicule emerging from the corner of his mouth. "Yes." The 2 guards quickly chased after him. Xiaoqian just ran to the door of the Parliament Hall. Perhaps she was too anxious to pay attention to the situation outside. She actually bumped into someone's arms and was hugged directly. "Ah, let go, let me go." Screams suddenly sounded, but after seeing the figure in front of him clearly, he quickly stopped again. "Brother Yang. Run, they are going to catch me, hurry." As she spoke, she pulled Han Yang's arm. However, it couldn't be pulled at all. At this moment, Xiaoqian was really about to cry. Han Yang, who was hugging her, his eyes fell on his fiancée's cheek. The swollen palm print made him frown and let out a cold feeling. "Who did it?" "Yes, Chen He." Xiaoqian said something subconsciously, and she quickly reacted and wanted to pull Han Yang up and run away, but, it's too late. The 2 guards who caught up blocked their way, one on the left and one on the right. One of them grabbed Xiaoqian's hair without saying a word, not paying attention to Han Yang at all. Seeing this scene, Han Yang's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He hugged Xiaoqian tightly, tilted her slightly, and then kicked her out. Bang, that person flew out in response. The other guard was stunned. "I didn't expect you, a loser, to be here too. It just so happens that today I will let you see with your own eyes that your fiancée was taken as a concubine. Humph, why are you still standing there? Take both of them for me." Chen He followed behind, looking at the 2 of them sarcastically. "He was the one who beat you." Han Yang's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and he swung out his palm without waiting for the guard on the side to take action. The guard was only at the 6th level of body tempering, so he couldn't stop Han Yang's palm force, and he was knocked upside down and flew towards Chen He. "You wanna die?" Chen He raised his eyebrows and stepped out of the way. He looked at Han Yang with some surprise and said, "You openly commit murder in the meeting hall and kill me, a warrior of the Chen family. I will be punished accordingly. Today I—" Before he finished speaking, he found that the figure in front of him had disappeared. Then, his eyes suddenly widened, and he saw in horror that Han Yang had actually rushed in front of him. Just as he was about to retreat, Han Yang moved faster and fiercer, and slapped him. There was no time to dodge. This slap came from Han Yang with anger and was astonishingly powerful. The moment it hit, there was a sound of bones shattering and exploding. People around him exclaimed in unison. I saw Chen He's body hit the wall of the conference hall, his head exploded, and red and white flowed all over the floor. Han Yang, who had killed him, seemed to have done nothing and returned to his original position lightly, continuing to hug the frightened Xianxia. "Ah, my son. Little beast, I want you to die, kill him for me." More than 10 people jumped out of the meeting hall and quickly surrounded Han Yang and Xianxia. "Brother Yang, what's your cultivation level?" In her arms, Xianxia's eyes widened with disbelief on her face. "I'm fine. As long as I'm here, no one can bully you anymore." A smile appeared on Han Yang's lips, and in his mind, he recalled every bit of the past. "I have always been disliked by others in the Chen family, especially after my cultivation was abolished. Everyone ignored me. If it weren't for the lovely child in my arms, I wouldn't be alive now." In the entire Chen family, only Xianxia considers herself to be her lover. Seeing that she was humiliated, Han Yang became murderous and did not hesitate to kill Chen He who had humiliated her. Chapter 3 Escape. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So what if your cultivation level recovers? You will only be at the 8th or 9th level of body tempering at most. The Great Elder is a master of the 5th level of bone forging realm. You will not be his opponent. Run away. Xianxia said extremely anxiously. Escape? Still want to escape? Today, I will let you die without a burial place. In the angry roar of the Great Elder, the rest of the people in the hall also chased out. A Chen family warrior who was at the 9th level of body tempering was eager to make a contribution. After giving a sharp shout, he rushed towards Han Yang and the two of them. "Ah!" Xianxia let out a scream. However, the opponent's movements were as fast as the speed of sound. Before his voice could fall, his sharp claws were already close. "It's over." Xianxia, whose mind was blank, had only this idea at the moment. There was a bang. The next moment, Xianxia closed her eyes, but did not feel anything unusual. She couldn't help but raise her head, and then she realized that the guard captain who was charging ferociously had flown back for some reason. At this moment, he was lying on the ground wailing and screaming. This. Xianxia was a little dumbfounded. Not only her, but everyone else was also shocked. Isn't this kid's dantian broken and his cultivation ruined? Why did he suddenly become so powerful? Even if he recovers his cultivation, he's not that strong. Incredible, what's going on? The sound of discussions one after another was shocking. The elder who was walking behind was shaken, and his two electric eyes stared at Han Yang. In his eyes, intense murderous intent overflowed. Han Yang actually recovered his cultivation level and was even better than before. This was something he didn't expect. However, because of this, the murderous intention in his heart became even stronger. Before Han Yang's cultivation was abolished, he was considered a very talented person. No one in the entire younger generation of the Chen family could match him. If he was allowed to grow up, he would definitely become a hidden danger over time. Thinking of this, the Great Elder couldn't bear it any longer, waved his hand and shouted, "Come on, everyone, capture this beast, break his limbs, I will dig out his heart and liver." Yes, a group of Chen family warriors pounced forward like wolves and tigers. Han Yang looked stern, with a hint of seriousness on his face. Although he already has the memory of his past life, his current physical cultivation level is too low after all. After pondering for a moment, he pushed Xianxia to the side and punched the figure who was charging at him most arrogantly. Bang! There was a muffled sound. The latter let out a shrill scream, spurted out blood and flew upside down. One of his right arms had been shattered in sections. Han Yang, who retreated, continued to stay by Xianxia's side. His eyes were cold and stern, and his aura was fierce. Before he could stand firm, a person on the left had already rushed forward. With a long sharp knife in his hand, he swept towards the waists of Han Yang and Xianxia without hesitation. This sword was meant to cut both of them in half, cut into 4 pieces with one knife. Han Yang's eyes flashed with strong anger, and instead of retreating, he took the initiative to meet him. The man's face showed joy. Unexpectedly, this kid was looking for death. He immediately punched his right arm and slashed down with all his strength. However, when the sharp blade came 2 feet away from Han Yang with strong wind, he instantly sensed something was wrong. There was a cold smile on the other party's face. Sensing something strange, he wanted to retreat, but it was too late. Han Yang moved a step to the left, reached out and grabbed the opponent's knife-holding wrist. The next moment, the Chen family warrior, whose wrist hurt, subconsciously let go, and the long knife instantly fell into Han Yang's hand. Amidst the cold snort, a blood flower bloomed from the knife's shadow. Laugh. A big head has flown into the air, blood sprayed all over the ground. The faces of several warriors around him turned pale and they subconsciously stepped back. However, with weapons in hand, Han Yang was like a tiger out of the cage. With the long knife in hand, he started killing. The sword flashed brightly, and in just a few breaths, 5 or 6 people died under the sword. "You little beast, you're looking for death." The second elder of the Chen family not far away finally couldn't bear it any longer. He shouted loudly and condescendingly struck Han Yang's Tianling with his palm in the air. "I'm still afraid of you." Han Yang's temper also rose. He knew that the opponent was a 4th-level master of the bone-forging realm, and his cultivation was far better than his own, but he did not dodge, and struck out forcefully, piercing the air with his palm. Bang! A muffled sound came out. The figure of the second elder was repulsed, and Han Yang even took 4 steps back before barely standing firm. The second elder who landed on the ground had murderous intent in his eyes. He touched the ground with his toes and rushed forward again. Han Yang, who was out of temper, also punched brazenly again. Bang! There was another muffled sound, so powerful that the surrounding Chen family warriors could not get close at all. This time, the second elder took 5 steps back. Han Yang took 3 steps. Xianxia's face lit up and she was about to speak, but Han Yang suddenly opened his mouth and spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his face became extremely pale at this moment. "Brother Yang." Xianxia was shocked. "I didn't expect such a scene to happen." Han Yang sighed secretly. "After all, my cultivation level is still a little bit behind. It is very difficult to fight with the second elder of the 4th level of bone-forging realm with 2 punches. The elder who has a higher cultivation level has not taken action yet. If he continues to fight, he will. The 2 of them really have to confess here. Xiao, you go first, I'll stop behind." He stepped closer to Xiao, lowered his voice and said something in the latter's ear. Xiao's nose felt sour, and tears suddenly welled up in her eyes. Etc. Seeing Han Yang wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth and about to rush forward to fight with the second elder again, she grabbed Han Yang's arm, gritted her teeth, and a jade pendant held tightly in her hand burst into light out of thin air. The moment the light appeared, there were powerful and strange fluctuations. With Xiao as the center, the space is gradually distorting at a speed visible to the naked eye. "Walk!" But without any time to explain, Xiao grabbed Han Yang's arm and rushed into the twisted position. The next moment, the 2 figures disappeared out of thin air. Everything around him quickly returned to normal. The second elder struck out with all his strength, but his palm failed and the ground exploded into pieces, unable to stop the 2 of them at all. Damn it! The great elder was furious and roared angrily as he looked at the deserted courtyard. The old man actually gave something as precious as a teleportation jade slip to a stinky girl. Chase me, they can't escape far, they are searching from all sides. Even if they dig 3 feet into the ground, they have to bring him back to me, in honor of my son." "Yes." The few living Chen family warriors were as silent as a cicada. They responded quickly and rushed out of the courtyard, with figures flying out in all directions. Outside Luo City, more than 10 miles away, there is a dense wild forest. On the originally deserted mountainous area, the void suddenly fluctuated, and then, two figures fell to the ground one after the other. The moment he landed, Han Yang jumped up. After looking around carefully, he let out a sigh of relief on his pale face. It's safe for now. I didn't expect you to have a teleportation jade slip. Fortunately, I have you this time, otherwise. He gave a wry smile. Father said that the teleportation jade slip can travel 10 miles, but we don't know the direction. Those vicious dogs won't be able to find us in a short period of time. Brother Yang, please heal your wounds first and take a rest before we leave. Seeing Han Yang's ugly expression, Xianxia said quickly. Good. Han Yang sat down next to her. Fighting hard at the 4th level of the bone-forging realm did injure him a bit, so he needs to adjust his breathing first. Chapter 4: The Body of Black Ice. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Time passes little by little. Han Yang, who was sitting cross-legged, quickly mobilized the 9 turns of stars to swallow the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth. That insignificant injury began to recover quickly after being transformed by spiritual energy. About half an hour later, the dantian gradually filled up, and the body had fully recovered. At this moment, a groan that was trying to be suppressed suddenly came from the side. The sound was accompanied by extreme pain. Han Yang even felt that the air around him seemed to be colder. What happened? Han Yang opened his eyes slightly confused. However, the next moment, his expression changed. Not far from him, he saw Xianxia, who was sitting there, curled up into a ball, her whole body trembling. Xianxia, are you sick again? Han Yang was taken aback and hurried forward to ask. As soon as his palm touched Xianxia's body, he couldn't help but retract. Oh no. Han Yang frowned deeply. Only then did he realize that Xianxia was suffering from typhoid fever. Her whole body was about to freeze into an ice man, and even her eyelashes were condensing with ice crystals. The body was even colder. Why did you forget this? Damn it. Self-blame appeared on Han Yang's face, but now, it was not the time to dwell on this. He used the energy in his body, endured the chill, put his palm against Xianxia's forehead, and began to explore carefully. Typhoid fever does exist. However, Han Yang had never encountered such severe typhoid fever in his 9 lives. If it was really typhoid, Xianxia would have definitely become a dead person. Something weird. Almost instantly, he realized something was wrong. His expression couldn't help but become weird. It turns out to be a body of black ice. Moreover, it is an extremely rare innate black ice body, but it cannot be stimulated. In the world of martial arts, in addition to ordinary warriors, there are also various geniuses. Some of those legendary geniuses have strange and miraculous physiques and can be called the darlings of heaven. For example, Han Yang's holy body of heaven in his previous life. Another example is the Yuanwu overlord body, pure yang spirit body, innate sword body, etc. that he has seen before. People with these physiques are all the darlings of heaven. As long as they practice well, there is basically no bottleneck. It can be said that every warrior with a special physique has the qualifications of a great emperor, but among these darlings of heaven, some have unique physiques that need to be stimulated for some reason. If it cannot be activated, at least it will be inactive for the rest of its life and become a useless person. In severe cases, they may suffer from serious illness and die prematurely. Xianxia obviously belongs to the latter. Now, her Xianbing physique was on the verge of a complete explosion. According to the investigation just now, there is still a month at most. If it still cannot be activated, Xianxia will turn into an eternal ice sculpture and die. The body of black ice is one of the 7 ancient spirit bodies. If it were in the previous life, it would not be too difficult for me to activate it for her, but right now. Han Yang frowned and pondered, his mind spinning rapidly. The easiest thing to do is undoubtedly to use the 3rd-level spiritual grass, the sunflower, to temporarily suppress it. As long as I can find the sunflower, I can keep her worry-free for 3 years. After I improve my cultivation, I will try to activate it for Xianxia. Spiritual body. There is no other way. Han Yang's current cultivation level is too low and he cannot use many methods. At present, all he can think of is this compromise method. The fierce sunflower is a 3rd-level spiritual plant, which is also rare for Han Yang, who only has the 9th level of the body tempering realm. But, Luo City is located on the edge of the famous demonic beast mountain range in Tianwu continent. There should be a chance to find it in the demonic beast mountain range. As long as there is, then, there is still hope. The top priority is to keep Xiaoqian away from the cold first, otherwise the little girl won't be able to survive today. Han Yang lifted Xiaoqian up from the ground, injected his own energy into her meridians, and forcibly began to suppress the mysterious cold energy erupting in her body. Soon, half an hour passed. Han Yang breathed out a sigh of relief and stopped the operation of the technique. In his hand, there was a crystal-clear ice bead that exuded a strong chill. Although Xiaoqian was curled up in her arms, she was no longer shivering as before, but her body was still very cold. His pale face was bloodless. We finally suppressed it, but it's hard to say if it will break out again next time. We have to hurry up and enter the monster mountain range to look for the sunflower. However, condensing this Xian Han bead is an unexpected blessing. It can help me enter the bone forging realm as soon as possible. Han Yang muttered to himself, put away the Xianhan pearl, then picked up Xiaoqian, who was in a coma, and was about to leave, but at this moment, his expression changed slightly and his expression became cold. Originally, the two of them could have escaped in time. However, Han Yang's treatment of his injuries and Xiaoqian's suppression of Xuanhan's energy delayed him for about an hour, so that the Qin family warriors had already searched here, according to Han Yang's perception. There were more than 10 people approaching with eager eyes. Fortunately for Han Yang, these people were all body-tempering warriors, and there were no bone-forging realm elders among them. Then there is no need to escape. The dog man and woman are actually hiding here. The great elder said that the brats were seriously injured. If they are captured, they will be rewarded heavily. Hee. That bitch Xiaoqian was indifferent to us at first. Now she falls into our hands this time. How about? Amid a burst of arrogant and obscene laughter, more than a dozen people with ferocious faces rushed towards this side in groups of 2s and 3s. Court death. Han Yang's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He had no intention of letting the Qin family go, not to mention, how dare these guys continue to talk dirty. Gently putting Xiaoqian aside, Han Yang faced them directly, his whole aura changing drastically in an instant. The group of warriors were obviously stunned for a moment. It gave them the feeling that they were not facing a body-tempering warrior, but a god who can kill them with just his gaze. Ah! Help! Run away, devil! One after another, screams suddenly sounded in the forest. Soon, calm returned. After more than 10 breaths, Han Yang, covered in blood, hugged Xiaoqian and left the place. In this mountain forest, only a dozen corpses of Qin family warriors were left. Chapter 5 Monster Forest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the eerie and dark monster mountain range, Han Yang sat beside a burning bonfire, playing with a piece of pitch-black iron in his hand. It was already the 3rd day since they escaped from Luo City and entered the monster mountain range. In 3 days, Han Yang took Xiaoqian north along the road and entered the mountains to look for the sunflower. However, 3rd-level spiritual grass is not so easy to find in the peripheral stage. You have to go inside the mountains to have a chance. The two of them took a break here, had something to eat, and replenished their exhausted energy. As for the piece of iron that Han Yang was looking at in his hand, he found it inside the monster when he slaughtered a flying cloud leopard that became their ration. There are some simple lines engraved on the iron piece. At a rough glance, it seems to be a map, but what it is impossible to tell. After all, this thing came too unexpectedly. After studying it for a moment, Han Yang casually put it into his backpack. Seeing the aroma of leopard meat roasting on the campfire, he nodded with satisfaction, pulled off a large piece and handed it to Xiaoqian, who was warming himself by the fire. Thanks. Xiaoqian took it and thanked her softly. You are my Han Yang's woman, what can you say thank you for? Han Yang said with a smile. Xiaoqian's pretty face turned bright red and she started to eat meat with her head down. Brother Yang, this place is too dangerous. In the past 3 days, we have encountered nearly 10 monsters. If we continue to go deeper, will we encounter more powerful ones? that while eating meat, Xianxia looked at Han Yang worriedly and asked, as an ordinary person, this was her first time to set foot in this dangerous place full of monsters. Following Han Yang, in 3 days, the two of them had gone dozens of miles deep into the monster mountain range. Moreover, it continues to move inwards. Even though she had no cultivation, she knew that the monsters she encountered along the way were gradually getting stronger, especially the leopard in his mouth has reached the peak of body tempering, and is only 1 step away from reaching the 2nd level, which is comparable to a warrior in the bone-forging realm. Don't worry. I'm here. You don't have to worry. If you want to cure your illness, you must find a magical herb in this mountain range. After eating, you can have a good rest. We will continue on our way tomorrow morning. Han Yang did not tell Xianxia that she had a body of black ice, he just smiled and comforted her. Xianxia nodded obediently, lowered her head and speeded up her eating. After a full meal, Han Yang put out the bonfire and led Xianxia dozens of feet away. Over there is an ancient camphor tree hugged by 4 or 5 people. The unique smell of camphor can drive away venomous snakes and insects, making it the best resting place in the ancient forest. The two walked under the tree. Han Yang put his arms around Xianxia's waist, tapped his toes, and immediately jumped up more than 10 feet, found a suitable place among the branches, and placed Xianxia. You sleep for a while, I will meditate and practice tonight. After taking a deep look at Han Yang, Xianxia closed her eyes and began to rest with great relief. With Han Yang by her side, she doesn't have to worry even if the sky falls. When the first ray of sunlight rose, Han Yang slowly opened his mouth, and a wisp of white air came out of his mouth. With a hiss, it shot down a leaf. There was a hint of disappointment in Han Yang's eyes. 3 days have passed, but I still haven't been able to break through and enter the bone-forging stage. The speed of cultivation is a bit slow. Want to break through from the 9th level of body tempering to bone-forging in 3 days. If these words were heard by outsiders, they would definitely classify Han Yang as an idiot. There is no such thing in the whole world. Just as he was about to stand up and wake up Xianxia, Han Yang's expression suddenly changed. Han Yang rushed to Xianxia's side, hiding in the canopy of the tree. Looking down at the bottom of the tree, a few dozen feet away, there were 7 figures in black walking towards them while talking. Judging from his appearance, he doesn't look like a warrior from the Chen family. He should be here to hunt monsters or pick spiritual herbs. Han Yang didn't want to meet them, so he subconsciously restrained his aura and completely concealed his whereabouts. But at this moment, Xianxia beside her also opened her eyes and woke up. Before she could speak, Han Yang covered her mouth, made a silence gesture, and motioned her to look down. Boss, the other party hired us to hunt the iron flame beast. Is it dangerous? Below, a short man in black suddenly spoke. Hearing this, a tall man at the front glared at him and said, "What are you doing without danger? In this business, we lick blood from the edge of the knife. As long as we can make money, we have to fight. Yes, there must be a brave man under the heavy reward. The high price of 100,000 gold coins is worthy of our vote." Another man in black nodded beside him. The Iron Flame Beast is only a 2nd-level late-stage monster. Besides, people have made it very clear that it is precisely because they are unable to deal with it that they entrust it to us. As long as we are careful, there should be no problem in killing this monster. The boss is right. Just be careful. A 2nd-level monster was given 100,000 gold coins. Speaking of which, we still make the profit. Several people talked to each other, walked around under the tree, and continued walking forward. Soon, their figures gradually disappeared into the jungle, never thinking that there was anyone in the tree. Iron Flame Beast. These warriors are here to hunt the Iron Flame Beast. Han Yang's eyes suddenly brightened. They entered the Monster Mountain range just to try their luck and look for more places to find the sunflower within a month. However, the Iron Flame Beast is a fire attribute monster and likes to eat fire, so it must be in a place with strong fire element. Generally, where there are Iron Flame Beasts, there is a high probability that fire attribute spiritual grasses such as the sunflower will be born. If there really is an Iron Flame Beast nearby, it will undoubtedly greatly narrow down its target. Unexpectedly, I would learn such important news from such a group of warriors. Thinking of this, Han Yang's heart skipped a beat. looking back at Xianxia who was looking at him. Han Yang nodded and said, "Xianxia, you stay here and wait for me. There will be no danger in this big tree. I'll go take a look. Maybe we can leave here earlier." "Where is the place?" "But." Xianxia hesitated for a moment, and then spoke, "Brother Yang, why not? Forget it, those people just now are not mediocre people, and they also said that there are powerful second-level monsters guarding you, and you are alone, too dangerous. It's okay, I'll play by ear." Han Yang took off his backpack and placed it next to Xianxia. In the bag was a large piece of leopard meat and several bags of water. Even if she couldn't make it back in time, it would be enough for Xianxia to persist for 4 or 5 days. Looking at Xianxia's worried eyes, Han Yang took a deep breath and said seriously, "Be obedient, hide here and don't run around. I will definitely come back to pick you up in 3 days at the latest." He had to go, for Xianxia, "I must take a risk." Looking at Han Yang's resolute face, Xianxia nodded, "Then, you must be careful." "Good." Han Yang squeezed Xianxia's cold palm and flew back to the ground without hesitation. He walked around, picked some unusual-looking plants, smeared the sap around the tree trunks, and made sure that there was no one nearby who could threaten Xianxia, and then carefully looked for the footprints left by the man in black. Chased after him. Chapter 6 Iron Flame Beast Sunflower. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. 7 men in black walked around, squatting on the ground from time to time, as if they were investigating something. Han Yang followed them carefully, hiding himself very well. This group of men in black were obviously well prepared, and their division of labor was very clear. Some were tracking, investigating, and sentrying, and everything was in order. Han Yang squinted his eyes. The people in black in front of him were all extraordinary in strength, and the weakest ones had already reached the 1st level of bone forging. Their leader has reached the 4th or 5th level of bone forging. With such a lineup, there shouldn't be much of a problem even against the Iron Flame Beast. However, the leader's left arm seemed to have been injured, and the swing range when rushing was obviously much smaller than that of his right arm. After not following for long, Han Yang felt that the air around him was gradually becoming dry, and there was a faint heat wave. He paused and found that the group of men in black had arrived at the edge of a dark red stone forest. "Boss, according to the map, the Iron Flame Beast is inside." A man in black with a sharp mouth and monkey cheeks looked at the stone forest ahead and reported in a solemn voice to the burly man in the lead. "Be prepared, that thing is not easy to deal with, don't lose your life." A trace of bloodlust flashed through the eyes of the burly man, and he slowly pulled out the steel knife made of fine iron from his back with a dull voice. Everyone did not respond, but silently clenched their weapons tightly in their hands and quickly rushed towards the stone forest. Han Yang's eyelids drooped slightly, and he already had a calculation in his mind. Where the Iron Flame Beast is located, there is a high probability that the sunflower will appear. Perhaps when these men in black fight with the Iron Flame Beast, I can take the opportunity to seize it. Roar. As soon as he got close to the stone forest, he heard an extremely powerful beast roar coming from inside, and then, a wave of scorching hot air rushed out along the stone forest. A fight started. Han Yang raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and quickly moved towards a hidden place in the stone forest. Monsters like the Iron Flame Beast like to eat fire-type spiritual grass. They are so powerful that even 9th-level body-forging masters cannot withstand the flames they spout. Han Yang hid behind a half-foot-sized stone and focused his gaze on the battlefield. Wind slash. The burly man's eyes widened and he jumped up. He waved the steel knife in his hand. The airflow surged around him and tightly wrapped around the blade. From top to bottom, he slashed hard at the Iron Flame Beast. There was even a breath in the process. The sound of howling wind. Opposite is a ferocious beast that is half a foot tall and 1 foot long, and looks like a tiger with horns. Its eyes were as big as an adult's fist, its body was red, and the muscles on its limbs as thick as a bucket were knotted, and sparks spewed out of its nose as it breathed in and out. At this time, he should be extremely angry. How dare a little human dare to provoke me? After roaring, the Iron Flame Beast's front left limb swung violently and slapped the blade of the steel knife without any fancy. the sharp claws and the blade rubbed together to create a long string of sparks, and the sharp sound made the eardrums of the men in black nearby tremble. The burly man groaned and couldn't help but take 2 or 3 steps back. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the huge monster roaring at him. "Boss, look, over there, there is an 8-leaf, blazing sunflower." But to the left of the burly man, a sharp-eyed man in black pointed at a stone behind the iron flame beast and shouted with joy. Sure enough, there was a golden flower with 8 leaves over there. Amberlight, filled with a burst of fiery red flames. "Huh. Not bad. But please don't be distracted. After killing this iron flame beast, everything here will belong to us." The burly man remained unmoved and focused on the ferocious beast in front of him. He flipped the steel knife in his hand and slashed at it again. Several other men in black also looked at each other quickly and then surrounded them. "It's still, the 8-leaf sunflower." "Huh. Next to the sunflower is, the fire origin fruit." Han Yang's pupils shrank slightly, and there was a glimmer of light in his eyes. Behind the iron flame beast, on a dark red oval stone, a golden flower only 5 inches high, like a wild chrysanthemum, swayed in the wind, as bright as a cluster of candles. There are 8 leaves under the petals of this sunflower, indicating that it has been growing for 80 years. Every 10 years, the sunflower will grow an extra leaf, and the fire energy contained in it will double. When it grows to 10 leaves, it will grow into a 3rd-level elixir, and its medicinal properties will increase by 1 level based on the original ones, and if the iron flame beast swallows such a sunflower, it can be directly promoted to a 3rd-level monster. Coupled with a fire element fruit, this iron flame beast may become the king on the outskirts of the mountain range. Boom! 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 At this moment, Han Yang heard a huge explosion in his ears, accompanied by fierce air waves, and rubble flew all over the sky, like raindrops, in all directions. "Third child." The burly man roared angrily. "Beast, I'll kill you." Obviously, someone on their side suffered a big loss in the fight just now. Han Yang narrowed his eyes. Good chance. His body was like a curved bow, and with a kick of his foot, he was instantly ejected. The place where he was hiding was less than 20 feet away from the sunflower at most. Now he charged with all his strength. In the blink of an eye, he turned over to the place where the sunflower and the fire origin fruit grew. Almost at the same time as he landed, Han Yang used both hands to grab the fiery sunflower and the fire origin fruit, and pulled hard. The petals, most of the stem, and the fiery red fruit were torn off at the same time. After stuffing it directly into his arms, he rushed forward. "Damn, who? Boss, someone is taking advantage of us." The men in black obviously didn't expect that an outsider would come out at this time. They were stunned and pointed at Han Yang's back and shouted, "Only." Their figures were blocked by the huge iron flame beast. If they wanted to pursue them, they could only avoid this giant beast, but they couldn't do it easily. An ordinary sunflower is worth 10,000 gold coins. Wouldn't these 8 leaves fetch a sky-high price? Good boy, taking advantage of the situation. Lao 6 and Lao 7, you go and take back the spirit flower. You must not let him escape. I will come after I kill the iron flame beast. The burly man's cheeks couldn't help but twitch twice, with a fierce look in his eyes. How dare you snatch meat from your own mouth? Roar! On the other side, the iron flame beast, which was sensing something bad, took advantage of the gap between their clones and found the opportunity to rush towards this side. The burly man's muscles tensed up, and he held up a sword. A beam of sword light lay across his chest, trying to resist the attack of the vicious beast. Boom! A dull sound sounded. His whole body flew into the air like a kite with its string cut off, and then fell back to the ground hard, kicking up large swaths of dust. The other men in black quickly fought with the iron flame beast, but 2 of them quickly left the battlefield and chased Han Yang into the woods. Chapter 7 Restraining Cold Poison. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Where did you bastard come from? Stop for me. That there were curses coming from behind, but Han Yang, who was flashing, ignored them and moved forward quickly. He didn't want to get involved with these men in black at all. However, now that his cultivation is still in the body-tempering stage, how can his leg strength be compared with that of the man in black in the bone-forging realm? After about a stick of incense, Han Yang was blocked by Lao Lu and Lao 7. Boy, you're pretty good at running. Do you dare to rob Grandpa's things? Lao Lu's face trembled and he said with a sinister smile, hand over your things and I'll leave your body intact. Brother 6, what nonsense are you talking about? Cut him. Lao Chi, who was on the side, had fierce murderous intent in his eyes. He swung the steel knife in his right hand and struck Han Yang with a fierce blow. Han Yang's eyes flashed with cold light, he took half a step back with his right foot, and the blade of the blade almost slashed down against his nose. While retreating, the 5 fingers of his right hand were slightly bent, and he suddenly grabbed Lao Chi's wrist like an eagle's claw. Then he suddenly exerted force on his right foot, sweeping his whip leg and throwing it on the latter's chest. From the moment the knife fell to Han Yang's counterattack, it only took one breath, boom. Lao Chi groaned, and his body fell back involuntarily. He spurted a mouthful of blood and stared at Han Yang. A mere boy in the body-tempering realm actually injured himself. What a shame. Lao Lu next to him had a sharp look in his eyes. Years of experience in licking blood from knife edges told him that Han Yang was in mortal danger. Ben Yun Dao, that Lao Lu shouted violently and spun quickly. The surrounding air also gathered with the rotating blade, slashing horizontally towards Han Yang's chest. Han Yang pointed his toes, leaped high like an antelope jumping off a cliff, turned his body, and kicked his left foot from top to bottom towards Lao Lu's head. Lao Chi, who was standing next to him, looked slightly cold. He twisted the handle of the knife with his right hand, and the blade flew out like a poisonous snake. Han Yang's pupils suddenly shrank. He might be able to deal with one person alone, but it would be a bit difficult for the two of them to work together. At that moment, he forcibly turned around in the air to avoid Lao Lu's sharp blade, but Lao Chi, who sneaked up from behind, still cut his left arm open. The bright red blood quickly seeped into his clothes. Call. Han Yang stood firm on the ground, his eyelids drooped slightly, and he squinted at the wound. As expected, I have not fully adapted to this weak body. Lao Chi didn't give Han Yang a chance to breathe. He swung the handle of the knife, rattled the chain, and attacked Han Yang again. The latter slowly raised his head, and the coldness in his eyes made Lao Lu and Lao Chi shiver. Cloud Explorer. Han Yang's eyes flashed slightly, and he avoided the flying knife on one side of his body. While reaching forward with his left hand, his 5 fingers were covered with a layer of white light that was invisible to the naked eye. He was extremely fast and accurately grasped the iron chain. As soon as his wrist exerted force, Lao Chi couldn't help himself, and his whole body was pulled up into the air. Cloud Exploration Hand was one of Han Yang's unique skills in his previous life. The power is extraordinary, and when it is fully cultivated, it can break mountains and rivers, hold the universe together, and pick up the sun and moon. But now, due to his low strength, he cannot even release 1/1000th of the power he once had, but it is obviously enough to deal with a 3rd and 4th level bone-forging realm warrior. Die. The index finger and middle finger of his right hand, which were as solid as fine iron, hit the former's throat in the blink of an eye. Click, the 2 fingers were like sharp swords, piercing Old Chi's throat with one blow. Blood poured out of Lao Chi's mouth, and his eyes were fixed on Han Yang's face. Reluctance, shock, fear, and disbelief. Old 7. Lao Lu yelled angrily, looking at Han Yang with eyes filled with resentment. Boy, I want you to die. As soon as he finished speaking, he jumped out. When the tip of the knife approached Han Yang, he used both hands to stab his throat. Facing the approaching figure, Han Yang's lips curled up in amusement, and a cold light flashed in his slender eyes. Tiangang fist. He took half a step back with his left foot, his body sank slightly, and he punched out with his right fist. Click, under Lao Lu's horrified gaze. The steel knife made of fine iron in his hand actually shattered inch by inch under the fist of a body-tempering warrior. At this moment, Lao Lu felt strong fear in his heart for the first time. What kind of freak is this kid in front of me? How could he be so powerful when his cultivation was obviously only in the body-tempering stage? You dare to be distracted when you are fighting with me? A voice came indifferently, and Han Yang's body was like a sharp arrow shot out of the string, and his fist slammed into Lao Lu's left cheek. The latter's head exploded like a watermelon. After his body spun twice in mid-air, he fell to the ground, dead as hell. Han Yang clapped his hands gently, without any mercy in his eyes. He found the right direction and continued to rush towards Xianxia's hiding place, about half an hour. Later, he was back under the ancient camphor tree. On the tree, Xianxia was still worried, but when she saw Han Yang returning, a touch of joy appeared on her pretty face. "Brother Yang, are you back?" Han Yang jumped up the tree in 2 or 3 seconds, nodded with a smile, and took out the sunflower in his arms. This kind of spiritual flower can suppress the coldness in your body. He tore off the petals, stems and leaves of the sunflower and handed them to Xianxia. "Eat it and you will be fine soon." However, Xianxia's eyes fell on Han Yang's injured left arm. She frowned slightly, pulled off a strip from her skirt, and bandaged Han Yang with distress. "Brother Yang, you are injured. It's just a minor injury, don't worry about it, just eat it quickly." Han Yang said this, but his heart felt warm. "I haven't felt like this in a long time, 100 years. It could be 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years, right?" She waited until Xianxia had bandaged the wound before she took the sunflower and put it in her mouth. The spiritual flower melts in your mouth, the pure medicinal power flows down the throat, soon along the limbs and bones, and begins to gather in the dantian. "I am hot." At this moment, Xianxia felt as if there was a fire burning in her body, making her whole body hot. Han Yang gently stroked the hair beside her ear, smiled and nodded. "It's okay, you'll be fine soon." Just as the words fell, some ice blue crystals suddenly appeared on Xianxia's exposed red skin. Not long after, these crystals gradually turned into ice water, and finally evaporated into mist and slowly disappeared. Seeing this scene, Han Yang finally showed an expression of relief on his face. Xiaoqian's life was saved for the time being. It's a pity that the effect of the sunflower can only be exerted once, and it can only temporarily suppress the cold invasion. It is not that easy to fully activate Xiaoqian's spirit body. As for fire yuan fruit, although it is also a fire attribute elixir, Xiaoqian cannot take it with her current physique. Sunflower has mild medicinal properties and can be swallowed directly by ordinary people. The Huiyuangua is different. The medicinal properties are overbearing. Ordinary people will definitely not be able to withstand the strong medicinal power. In mild cases, they will be seriously injured and comatose, or in severe cases, they will explode and die. "Brother Yang, I feel much better. There is warmth inside my body. I haven't felt like this for a long time." Xianxiaqian opened her eyes, her beautiful pupils curved into a pair of crescent moons, and the love in them was not concealed at all. "Thank you Yang, well." Before she could finish speaking, Han Yang suddenly reached out and covered her soft mouth with his palm, because Han Yang sensed that several warriors were walking towards this side. Chapter 8 Panic and No Choice of Road. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Damn it, I've been looking for him for so long, but no one is there. If I look at it, that kid Han Yang has probably run away with that bitch Xianxiaqian. A Chen family warrior with a fat head, big ears and a big belly came over and sat down against the ancient camphor tree. The movement was so loud that the whole tree shook twice. Han Yang stabilized Xianxiaqian and moved to a hidden place. It wasn't that he was afraid of these two people, but he doesn't want to cause too much noise. Once it attracts the attention of other people in the Chen family, there might be some twists and turns. Now that your cultivation is not on the right track, there is no need to worry about it. But what Han Yang didn't notice was that due to the impact of the Chen family warrior just now, the water bag Xianxiaqian put aside was slowly sliding down. "Just walk around here. As soon as it gets dark, we'll go back." Another short Chen family warrior stretched his waist and said, snapped. The moment he sat down, the water bag hit him on the head. "What?" The short warrior Chen Wen cursed and raised his head, just in time to see Han Yang and Han Yang hiding in the tree, looking stunned. Han Yang's face darkened, he quickly jumped down from the tree, and at the same time punched Chen Wen's head. The opponent's reaction was not slow, and he quickly rolled sideways, allowing Han Yang to hit the ground with a condescending punch. Boom. The powerful force caused the ground to sink a small amount in an instant. The fat Chen Wen next to him stared up, and looked up with his slit eyes, just in time to see the pale Xianxiaqian on the tree. "Brother Wen, hold this kid back, I'll catch that little bitch. Chen Wu licked his lips, his eyes sparkling. Chen Wen jumped up from the side, patted the dust off his body, and sneered, I didn't expect that such a good thing would happen to us. Han Yang, you have been seriously injured by the elders, why don't you just surrender quickly? That a cold light suddenly appeared in Han Yang's eyes, and he turned around and swept towards Chen Wu who was about to climb up the tree. The strong force made the latter's face change slightly, and he quickly crossed his hands in front of him, trying to block the fierce whip kick. Boom. Chen Wu felt as if he had been hit by a flying steel plate. He took 7 or 8 steps back. The pain in his arms was like burning. What happened? That he looked gloomy. He is a bone-forging realm warrior. Although he is only at the first level, he is definitely the elite of the Chen family. How could he be repulsed by a body-tempering realm boy? What's more, wasn't he severely injured by the second elder? Something is fishy. Chen Wen, who was on the side, saw Chen Wu being repelled, his eyes narrowed slightly, he stepped on the ground with his right foot, drew out the long sword on his back and stabbed the latter's vest straight. A flash of sword light was only a few feet away from Han Yang in the blink of an eye. When Xianxia in the tree saw this scene, her pretty face turned pale with fright. Brother Yang, be careful behind you. Han Yang had already sensed the chilling air, so he pounced forward to avoid Chen Wen's sneak attack, and then reached forward with his right hand. Cloud Explorer. Click. Under the disbelieving looks of Chen Wen and Chen Wu, the sword somehow fell directly into Han Yang's hands and then broke into 2 pieces. Han Yang followed the trend, turned his 5 fingers into claws, and grabbed Chen Wen's Tianling Gai with his backhand. Careful. Chen Wu rolled his fat body and kicked Chen Wen away, who was still in a state of shock. Han Yang raised his eyebrows, it seems that you are somewhat cooperative. Chen Wen got up from the ground in embarrassment, his eyes were filled with resentment. Boy, don't get too happy too early. Today, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings. As he spoke, a cloud-piercing arrow shot out from his hand and shot straight into the air. Han Yang had no time to stop it, the sound of arrows made a sharp sound of piercing the air, and exploded dozens of feet high, forming a big Chen character. The flesh on Chen Wu's face trembled, and he sneered, I advise you not to waste your efforts in vain, just surrender and capture him. If you give up resistance now, you will suffer less physical pain. Han Yang, who had a stern look in his eyes, didn't talk nonsense at all. He clenched his right fist tightly, concentrated all his strength on one point, and suddenly pounced on Chen Wu. Want to delay? Your cautiousness is really childish. Chen Wen and Chen Wu looked at each other quickly. Chen Xiaoqian on the tree posed no threat to them, as long as she entangled Han Yang. Drink. Tongli Fist. The two of them shouted loudly at the same time and used the Chen family's martial arts skills. Tiangang Fist. Han Yang was extremely fast and struck Chen and Wen's fists without any fancy. Boom. A dull sound exploded, and Chen Wen and Chen Wu both screamed and flew upside down. The heartbreaking pain in their arms almost made them faint. Han Yang looked indifferent, and the 2 broken swords on the ground collapsed with a burst of force. Whizzing. The sharp sword edge accurately hit the 2 throats, blood splattered, directly killing them both. If these 2 people avoid fighting, Han Yang, with Chen Xiaoqian in tow, may not be able to get rid of them easily, but he actually chose to compete with himself. Then you can't blame yourself. Chen Xiaoqian, who was sitting on the tree, also had surprise in her eyes. It's not a good place to stay for a long time. Before Chen Xiaoqian could react, she was directly picked up by Han Yang, but at this moment, 20 or 30 feet away to their left, there were 3 men in black clothes with tattered clothes and bloodstains on their bodies, running towards them quickly. The cloud-piercing arrow that Chen Wen shot just now had not summoned the Chen family warriors, but it had attracted the men in black who were not far away. Walk. Han Yang frowned, hugged Chen Xiaoqian and rushed towards another big tree, heading straight into the depths of the mountain range. Brother, it's that boy. A man in black pointed at Han Yang's back and shouted. The burly man in the lead, Zhang Taixian, had a gloomy look and said in a cold voice, chase me. Even if I chase you to the deepest part of the monster forest, I will tear this boy's bones apart. Wow. Before he finished speaking, he suddenly opened his mouth and spurted out a mouthful of blood. "Brother, this kid will definitely die if he runs inside. We brothers are either dead or injured now, why not, let him go for now." Another man in black beside him spoke hesitantly. Several people were all injured, especially the leader Xianxia. A 5-foot-long wound ran across the latter's chest. The white cloth bandaged had already been soaked with blood, and the flesh and blood were blurred, and the white bones were vaguely visible. This is what the iron flame beast left behind. We live a life of licking blood from the edge of a knife. A mere injury is nothing. Zhang Taixian glared at the person speaking behind him and shouted, "Chase me." With his cultivation level at the 4th level of the bone-forging realm, even if he is injured, it is not too difficult to catch up with Han Yang, who is bringing Xianxia with him. Han Yang, who was panicking, kept flying along the mountains. At the end of the woods ahead, there was a huge dark cave. It made him complain endlessly. The people behind were chasing her so hard that it was obviously too late to turn around and change direction at this time. At this time, he could only grit his teeth and lead Xianxia straight in. Hopefully, there won't be any monsters that are too powerful. As soon as he entered the cave, there was a fishy and damp smell that assaulted his nostrils. There were piles of bones, carrion, and even a lot of blowflies on the ground, buzzing around. This is indeed a monster beast's lair. Chapter 9: Bloody Battle in the Demon Cave. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother Yang, did we go to the wrong place? Xianxia felt a little frightened when she suddenly saw the scene in front of her. Han Yang squeezed Xianxia's slightly cold hand and said comfortingly, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." The latter nodded obediently and felt at ease. "That's right, even if you don't survive, it's a blessing to die with the person you like, so there's nothing to panic about." The two of them walked deeper into the cave one after the other. The cave seemed to be bottomless, and after walking for a stick of incense, I couldn't reach the end. Moreover, apart from the corpses, there was no trace of the monster. This gave Han Yang a lot of peace of mind. With the faint light emitted from the fire fold in his hand, he had time to look around. "Huh! That's the three-eyed living flower." That his nostrils twitched and he smelled a strange smell. Han Yang looked to the left in surprise. There was a small blue flower on the damp rock wall 3 or 4 feet away. If he hadn't practiced the 9 turns of stars technique himself and had sharp ears and eyes, it would have been extremely difficult to detect it. Xianxia asked curiously, "Is it very precious?" "I can't say how precious it is, but it is of great use to me now." Han Yang gently plucked off the small blue flower and said, "This thing can open the pulse point when I enter the bone-forging realm." Xianxia nodded in understanding, and was about to continue asking, but at this moment, a sneer sounded behind Han Yang and the other two. "Boy, you really know how to run." Zhang Taixian, who was staggering a little, held up the steel knife upside down and smiled ferociously at Han Yang and the other two. Behind him, the other 2 men in black separated, one on the left and the other on the right, completely blocking the entrance of the cave. "Brother Yang, hide behind me." Xianxia's face turned pale and she subconsciously retreated behind Han Yang. Han Yang, with slightly cold eyes, clenched his fists tightly, making his bones creak. 1 is a 4th-level bone forging, and 2 are a 3-level bone forging. Although the 3 people in front of him had been severely injured by the iron flame beast, the gap in cultivation was too big after all, and Han Yang did not dare to be careless. "Second child, 4th child, come on." Zhang Taixian waved his left hand, and the 2 men in black raised their knives and rushed towards Han Yang. Han Yang ducked sideways between the 2 of them. After staggering his steps, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and his hand suddenly reached out and grabbed the wrist of the second child. Their waists sank, and they took 2 steps forward. Instead, they used their own inertia to throw the dick out. However, the opponent stepped on the rocks on the cave wall and then did a backflip. Although his steps were a little staggering, he still fell back to the ground. Zhang Taixian narrowed his eyes slightly. "No wonder Lao Lu and Lao 7 were killed by you. At such a young age, they actually have good fighting skills. It's just..." After he finished speaking, a flash of scarlet appeared in his pupils, the entire body was also ejected like a cannonball, and the sharp blade struck at Han Yang. "You will definitely die today." A blush suddenly flashed across Han Yang's face. The next moment, his hands were as fast as lightning and he shot out quickly. Still, the Cloud Explorer. If you dare to take the boss's sword, you simply don't know whether to live or die. Seeing this scene, the fourth child on the side stepped away, with a mocking smile on his lips. They seemed to have seen the scene where Han Yang was split in half with a knife and blood spurted out, but in the next moment, the eyes of the two people suddenly became stiff. Clang clang, two clear sounds sounded, and Han Yang's left and right hand slapped the blade continuously, and the sword was deflected. Let this blow be in vain. How can it be? Zhang Tishuan's pupils shrank, and there was strong shock in his voice. A body-tempering warrior actually blocked his own sword. I am at the 4th level of bone forging. Han Yang's body trembled uncontrollably. He raised his head, with a cold and arrogant smile on his lips. Force me to consume my blood, and you can all die. He could have dodged this swift knife, however. I cannot retreat. Once he retreats, Zhao Qian behind him will fall into the opponent's attack range. By then, it will be too late to regret. Listening to his words, Zhang Tishuan's anger boiled, and the veins on his forehead were exposed. You don't know how to live or die. Wait until I kill you, then I can enjoy the little girl's skin behind you and sell her to the Red Mansion to pay off the debt. A green aura flashed out of the steel knife in his hand, and with a sharp wind, it struck down towards Han Yang. The blade is getting closer and closer. A trace of fierceness flashed in Han Yang's eyes. Taking a step to the left, he chose to directly use his left arm to meet the opponent's sharp blade. Qi Lu, the steel knife slashed Han Yang's arm mercilessly. What frightened Zhang Taixian was that this knife, which could split a mountain rock, actually slipped when it came into contact with the opponent's arm, and most of its power was removed. Even so, the blade still cut into the flesh, and the bright red blood soaked Han Yang's clothes at a speed visible to the naked eye. But Han Yang seemed to have expected the result. He didn't even frown. Taking advantage of the opponent's hesitation, he rushed forward and punched hard. Tiangang explodes. The right fist was like thunder and hit Zhang Tishuan's chest instantly. Ah! Zhang Taixian let go of the handle of the knife and was knocked backwards by the huge force. A large amount of blood seeped out from the chest wound. The iron flame beast's last desperate blow almost pulled out his internal organs. Now it was hit hard again. Except for the wound, Zhang Tishuan's mouth, nose, and 7 orifices were all covered with blood. He fell to the ground motionless. Boss, are you okay? The second and fourth children were shocked and had no idea what was going on. In the underworld, let's go on the road together. Tiancan Dao. Han Yang, with a sad look on his face, took out the steel knife still hanging on his left arm with his backhand and slashed at the two of them like lightning. A flash of bright red blood mingled on the blade, making the sword as powerful as thunder and capable of killing thousands of armies. The two subconsciously fought with knives, but he was obviously just a body-tempering realm warrior. But the power of this sword was as powerful as a mountain. Ding ding, the steel knife broke first, and then, the light of the knife flashed, and the two of them were cut into 4 pieces, simply unstoppable. Until their death, they didn't understand why this kid suddenly became violent and his sword was so powerful. Plop, the blood all over Han Yang's body disappeared in a flash. The whole person instantly collapsed on the ground, breathing heavily. At this time, he didn't even have the strength to move his fingers. The last punch and slash drained away all the power brought by his forced burning of essence and blood. Brother Yang, Chen Xiaoqian didn't bother to wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes, and ran to Han Yang's side, gently wiping the blood on his body. It's okay. Han Yang grinned and was about to say a few words of relief. However, the next moment, his face suddenly became ugly. He reluctantly raised his head and looked at the entrance of the cave with extremely solemn eyes. He felt that there was a strong momentum rushing towards this direction from the entrance of the cave. Who is it? Monster? Or, the warrior who is chasing him? Chapter 10 Opening the Pulse Point. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother Yang, why, it suddenly became cold. Qin Xiaoqian's lips trembled slightly, her body trembled, and her face turned pale. Haha. I didn't expect that I would be able to find the legendary Xianbing spirit body in my lifetime. An old voice sounded in the ears of Han and Yang. Almost at the same time, the two of them saw an old woman wearing gray linen clothes and holding a cane slowly walking out. This old woman has silver hair and wrinkles on her face. She is holding a bloody monster head in her hand, looking ferocious and strange. She simply ignored Han Yang, who fell to the ground, flashed out of thin air, appeared in front of Xianxia, and said without any doubt, "Little girl, you, follow me." Xianxia's face turned even paler with fright. She shook her head subconsciously and hugged Han Yang tightly, but Han Yang's pupils shrink to the ground and teleport in the air. Does this weird old woman in front of me possess a cultivation level above the martial emperor realm? After the warrior has gone through body tempering, bone forging, spirit gathering and Yuan Dan, he then condenses the three souls and comprehends life and death. Three souls are the king, life and death are the emperor. Although Emperor Wu is still not worth mentioning to Han Yang, the former #1 god of war in the god realm, on the Tianwu continent, he is already at the top level of the pyramid. How could such a person appear in this wild beast forest in the wilderness? The old woman followed Xianxia's gaze, couldn't help but twitching her lips, and said with a smile, "Are you reluctant to let go of this body-tempering waste? That's easy to do. I'll kill him with one palm and make you stop thinking." What? Xianxia raised her head in disbelief. When she saw the other party raising her palm, she threw herself on Han Yang's back. Who are you and why do you want to take me away? It's your destiny to take you away. As for who I am, it doesn't hurt to tell you that I am one of the three supreme elders of Xian Dao Palace, Ji Feihua. She looked at Xianxia, her eyes full of coldness. If it weren't for the rare Xian Bing's spirit body, I would have killed all 10 of your lives because of your disobedience. Xianxia bit her red lips tightly and her delicate body trembled. Are you going or not? Click, click, click. Ji Feihua's hand gently touched the ground, and a strong air of frost burst out, and the surrounding ground was instantly covered with a layer of frost. Not leaving? Then he can go die. As soon as he finished speaking, the white frost spread straight towards Han Yang like a cold dragon. I'm leaving, I'll just go with you. Xianxiaqian was at a loss and cried loudly. Ji Feihua Jia laughed twice and withdrew her strength. Han Yang lowered his head, a hint of coldness flashed deep in his eyes. My current strength is still too low after all. He reluctantly turned his head, looked at Xianxiaqian and said, Xiaoqian, follow her and practice with peace of mind. I will definitely come to you in less than 3 years. Oh, nonsense. Ji Feihua looked contemptuous. Boy, I advise you to give up on this idea. You are just an ant on the ground, and she will be a phoenix flying in the 9 heavens. Little girl, when you join our Dao Palace, you are destined to be people from 2 different worlds. Han Yang shook his head, with indescribable determination in his eyes. He smiled shamelessly. Xianyi Palace is certainly among the top 10 holy places in the Tianwu continent, but in my eyes, it is nothing more than a mediocre one. Right now, my strength is too low to activate Xiaoqian's spirit body, so I will leave her to you for the time being. But remember, if she loses even 1 hair, I, Han Yang, will destroy your entire sect. Han Yang stared at Ji Feihua, staring at him without hesitation. Presumptuous. A stern look flashed in Ji Feihua's eyes. You are a waste in the body-tempering realm. If I kill you with my own hands, I will actually give you the honor. If you have the guts to come to the Dao Palace, I will let my servants chop off your limbs and feed them to the dogs. She picked up Xianxiaqian impatiently and shouted, Don't overestimate my patience. If you don't leave, I'll crush you, this bastard lover, into powder with 1 finger. Xianxiaqian was worried that this old woman was really cruel, so she didn't struggle. She looked at Han Yang with tears in her eyes. Brother Yang, I'm going, take care of yourself. My father is still alive. It must have been something the great elder and his friends did. A year ago, the great elder began to have close contact with the Li family, and then my father disappeared. Jijiweiwei, is it over yet? Xianxiaqian wanted to explain something, but Ji Feihua had already led her away from the cave. not giving her any time to speak. The shrill sound spread in the cave for a long time. Even though Han Yang was reluctant to give up, he had no choice. Ji Feihua, just wait, in 3 years at most, he will definitely come to the Xianxia palace. If Xiao Qian is intact, that's it. But if she was bullied within the sect, she shouldn't blame herself for being ruthless. After waiting for half an hour, Han Yang finally regained some strength and sat up cross-legged. His eyes looked towards the place where the old woman had stood. There, a bloody monster head was discarded, the head of the third-level monster, the Overlord Lion. This monster may be the original owner of the cave here. It must have been returning from foraging for food and accidentally bumped into the old woman Ji Feihua. Even though he had third-level strength, he was completely vulnerable to Ji Feihua, who was in the martial emperor realm of life and death and was easily killed by the latter. Han Yang knew that the inner elixir of the Overlord Lion was in his head. Ji Feihua didn't look down on the third-level monster inner elixir, but for the current Han Yang, it was a rare good thing. The 9 turns of stars technique can swallow up all Yuan power and demonic power and use it for one's own use. If there is a third-level monster Yuan Dan to help me, I can step into the bone forging realm without any effort. Picking up the steel knife left by the man in black from the ground, he peeled off the demonic beast Yuan Dan and stuffed it directly into his mouth. After running the technique, in an instant, a stream of pure demonic power turned into some mysterious energy, which immediately rushed through his body. Han Yang knew that this energy was the power of the stars evolved from the 9 revolutions of stars Ju. As the power of the stars took effect, the injury on his left arm actually began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. It's time. In one go, Han Yang took the Xianxia pearl and the fire origin fruit at the same time. After taking a deep breath, he started running the 9 turns of the stars again. Buzz. The Xianxia pearl and the fire yuan fruit transformed into 2 energies, 1 ice and 1 fire, which began to impact every inch of his body. 9 turns of stars Ju. By turning 9 meridians, you can achieve enlightenment and become a god. On top of 1 meridians, there are 9 acupoints. Each time an acupoint is opened, the realm can be improved by 1 level. Although it is difficult to break into the acupuncture point, how can it be difficult to stop me? Han Yang took out the 3-eyed living flower he had obtained before and stuffed it into his mouth again. The pure medicinal power traveled along the path, absorbing all the energy from the Xianxia pearl and the fire origin fruit. Finally, a ray of star power that was more powerful than before was condensed and struck at the first acupoint of Ren meridian, the Huiyin point in the lower abdomen. Bang bang, it is worthy of being the most powerful divine method in the ages, and with the help of many elixirs, Han Yang actually attacked it twice in succession, both of which ended in failure. The severe pain caused fine drops of blood to ooze from his forehead, but Han Yang did not give up. Instead, his energy condensed in his dantian, and his expression became more cautious. Let me open it. There was a soft click sound in the body. The blood vessels are connected, the breath is flowing. Finally, on the 3rd impact, the firmly blocked acupuncture point was completely opened. The bone forging realm has been completed. Han Yang opened his eyes, with a hint of joy in his pupils. After carefully feeling the full power in his body, he nodded with satisfaction. Get up and gather your strength. Punch out. On the stone wall in front, stone chips flew, leaving a clear fist mark about an inch deep. Awesome! Is this the power of the stars? Han Yang's eyes flashed. The power of his punch was so concentrated that it would be difficult for even a 5th-level bone-forging warrior to withstand it. It seems that there is no need to use the blood-burning secret method that has seriously damaged the foundation, so that I can return to the Chen family and go to the First Elder and the others to settle old scores.